Hi everyone, Sailor Moon Serena here, and today we're going to talk about the hate that my Deke Sailor Moon got. And why did it get hate? Well, a lot of folks in the Sailor Moon followership, don't like the Deke Sailor Moon. Why? Because it was shifted. It was skimmed it was cleaned. It was take everything that they said that made it good, it was taken out. Now keep in mind, the folks that believed that never really knew what Sailor Moon was. Very few of them even watched the show back in the day. Now some folks are going to say, now the folks that didn't know, very few folks even knew what Sailor Moon was until it showed up in between 95 YL and the Settled Land and the 4-1 Reichs. And a lot of folks out there hated it because, the names were shifted. They go, they had Dawnish borrowed names. Why would their names shifted out to Farsi or Spanish or Hebrewish or Latinish or Frenchish, or Hellenish names, Hellenish borrowed names? Well, the answer I can give to you is that most folks who speak English, not all, but some of them, mostly those are the borrowed names that most folks speaking English know. Very few of them would know all the Dawnish borrowed names that there is out there. But why so many folks made a big deal out of it, they did. Another thing they made a big deal out of was strike names being shifted. They made a big deal out of that too. And then they also, did, and the hate of it, then they also hated it, for, shifting what was said, or cleaning out the blood, or cutting out some of the fighting or whatever. Those are the other things that they bitch about and say why they didn't like my Deke one back in the day. I mean, at the end of the day, my Deke one was not flawless. But it wasn't right out as bad as some folks in the Sailor Moon followership would have you believe, or them themselves believe. For whatever grounds, sake or why, they just hate it. And then they do. I don't know why they hate it, they do. They let those little things get to them. And then they also talk about how, then they also make a big deal about how the unstraight folks were handled in Sailor Moon. Now I thought that I didn't make a big deal out of it, but they did. They behaved as if they were being handled the wrong way. Or something. So they also make a big deal about that. And those are the grounds to why, they hate it. Or why, they hate it. Sorry I said that 2 times, but it's true, they do hate it. And the only grounds I can come up with is, I don't know. So the only grounds where this hate for it came was then years later. Either they looked it up on the reckoner at the book house or the Learn or whatever, or maybe they were lucky and they could afford to get their own reckoner at the house, and then they started looking up Sailor Moon, and then they learned where Deke made the shifts to, or later on where Cloverway would make the shifts to, and then they got their hate for it, But at the end of the day, I still think it's a good Sailor Moon. Alright, the Deke one is not as bad as they would have you make it out to be, And so when the Viz one came out, they fell in love with that one, and that was the end of it. But at the end of the day, I don't think it was as bad as they make it out to be. I mean, them bitching and ranting about names being shifted, stead names being shifted, or strike names being shifted between Deke and Cloverway, or, you know, I mean, I don't really think it was a big deal, but they like to make a big deal out of those things, you know? And at the end of the day, I think it was sad that they make a big deal out of something that shouldn't have made a big deal out of. So at the end of the day, it is what it is. Either they like it or they hate it. I don't really truly understand why that is, but I just got my thoughts on that. But it's not as bad as they make it out to be. There are a lot of good things about it. But they also bitch about they bitch about the songs, the Saga Rose or Tail Rose. They also bitch about the Sailor Says. And a lot of them out there, hate it. And I don't know where it came from. I just made my guess where I think the hate of the Deke Sailor Moon came from. So, at the end of the day, it is what it is. The hate of my Deke take on Sailor Moon, I don't understand why, they hate it. But those are just my guesses. And before I leave you all, I'm going to let you know that I don't think it is as bad as they make it out to be. Yes, there were a lot of things that were skimmed out and shifted around. But does that make it a bad thing? No, it does not. But these folks chose to hate it. Why? Who knows? If you like this film, then follow me over here at Sailor Moon for Life. Watch the other film I made yesterday over here, when Sailor Saturn and Sailor Ringworld, fought Rhea Ripley. Sailor Moon Serena, and I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye. Farewell.